All right, my man. State your name. Let them know you on Nicovelli TV.
Yeah, this is Jazzy,
On Nicovelli TV.
Nicodelli TV.
Nick
Yes,
fan.
Nick fan for sure.
How long you been a Nick fan, man?
Oh man, since the '80s,
Okay. Okay.
going back, going
All
back.
right. And your favorite player?
Favorite player was Clyde. Growing up,
All right. What you liked about Clyde's game?
Clyde was a point guard, so that's what I played, and he could score.
Okay.
Defense impeccable.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Can pick your pocket at any time,
So he was a thief on the court.
no doubt.
Okay. Okay. You remember the wars between Clyde and Earl the Pearl Monroe?
Yes.
Who got the best of who? What you say?
Man, that's a hard one, you know, because Earl was doing his thing too. So I don't know, man. I call that fairly even, and I think that's why they won when they got together, because they complimented each other.
The compliment. It was like more.
Yeah, yeah, and it wasn't no ego. It's harder to do today because you get guys together and they gotta really be able to compromise their games.
Okay. Now, when you talk about the egos back then, I'm pretty sure they had some chips on their shoulders, but it just was more managed on the court.
No doubt.
All right. Do you think because of today's contracts that's being thrown out, all this money, that could be the reason why these kids is not trying to gel, they're just worrying about their personal endorsements?
No question. The money is the biggest thing, man. It's a huge difference, man. You got guys that got contracts that come on to a team, guys are getting max deals, and then you got guys that's making maybe $5 million. Still a lot of money, but
Right.
a guy making a max deal versus a guy coming in at only, a third of that or 10% of that. It's a big difference, man, on how you gonna act.
Okay. All right. Another question. When we speak of point guards, being that you mentioned Clyde Frazier, who would come after him? We had a lot of great point guards on the New York Knicks. We had Mark Jackson. We had Clyde, who you mentioned. We had Nate Robinson.
Yeah. Okay.
Steph Marbury.
Now you missing one that you.
Derrick Rose.
You ain't mentioned one yet. I'm still waiting.
Oh, who's that?
Sugar Ray.
Oh, okay. That was a little before my time. I was a little younger.
Yeah.
So you gotta put me on.
Now you gotta respect Sugar Ray because if you look at some of the old clips, man, they compared him a lot to Magic. He messed himself up getting into the drugs and all of that. But his potential, his game was impeccable. Now, after that, I would say Mark, because Mark left a nice stamp on the league.
Is Sugar Ray the guy that they put on the bench for Clyde Frazier to play?
No. Sugar Ray came after Clyde. He joined the Knicks after Clyde.
Okay.
Yeah.
So no, I'm not too familiar with that.
Yeah.
All right. But moving right along, man. Was you a fan of Marbury and Mark Jackson game as point guards?
Definitely. I mean, Mark was a pure point guard. Steph, not necessarily a pure point guard, but a scoring point guard. But he had, Steph had game.
Yeah.
Steph could light it up.
Yeah.
I was sad to see that it didn't work out for him, but they just didn't bring the right team together when he got to the Knicks. But they were on the right track when they got him. They just didn't pull the right moves after that. They just you know how it's been with the management.
Right.
They've been messing up.
So the situation the Knicks currently find themselves in, I mean, we trying to move in the right direction.
Yeah.
What would you say is the main reason why the Knicks been in a drought as far as even going to the playoffs? It's been like since 2012.
Management, man. It's this decision.
But management is not playing. They're not on the court.
Management's not playing, but they're making the decision as to who comes in. You gotta look at other teams that's been successful after losing certain players over the last 8 to 10 years. You know what I'm saying? Like, you look at Cleveland, lost LeBron, and they still had a pretty decent team after that. You got even OKC can lose a Westbrook and a Durant and still get a decent team after that. You see teams build up through the draft. It takes a couple of years, but that's all. The Knicks ran out of patience. It's always trying to hit the home run, signing guys a little bit past their prime. giving away money, it's bad contracts, and then the reputation that nobody wants to come in. That's just sad because we should be signing the top free agents every year.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But I think now the team looks promising, but you still behind the 8 ball with all the other teams that are out there.
Okay.
So
are you high on the new players we got, man? We got a bunch of new players, man.
definitely, they got to keep them. They got to develop them, though.
How you feel about R.J. Barrett?
I like RJ. I think he's young. He still got time, so you can still build around him. He got the height, you know, and I think he's going to be a solid player.
Yeah.
You know, he's going to be a solid player. The new kid they drafted, I'm excited about him. Yeah.
He's a Brooklyn, New York native.
Yeah, he's excited. He's going to bring something to the table.
Do you think it's going to cause issues with him and Julius Randle? Because Julius Randle plays the power forward.
Yeah, nah, it shouldn't. I don't see it. He's a rookie. He's still learning. He can come off the bench.
Julius Randle's not a rookie.
No, not Julius Randle. The other guy.
Obi Toppin.
Yeah, he should come off the bench, play well, and I mean, if he ends up getting the starting lineup, he's gonna earn it. Trust me.
Trust me, because that's what. It's funny you mentioned that, because Coach Tibbs already let it be known that if anybody play, it's due to their previous performance. He ain't going off of names, off of big contracts. You're not gonna be demanding playing time with him. No, you gotta earn.
Yeah, you gotta earn it.
So with that being said, do you think certain players ain't gonna be with us no more? When you mentioned like a point guard like Frank Ntilikina,
It's possible.
who averages what, 5 points a game? Do you think he gonna have the same performance under Coach Tibbs?
Nah.
And
Nah. He has time. You got to give Frank a little time because he's young. You know, you've seen guys come into the league.
This is his third year, bro.
I know it's his third year, but you got to remember, he comes in at 18, 19. You don't see certain guys don't blossom until they're 22, 23. He's not there yet. Give him a little bit more time because he can play. Just got to give him a little bit more time. New York is a different beast, man.
how much time do you think he has under Coach Tibbs, Frank Ntilikina? Because he went through the Mike D.
Two more seasons.
Oh,
Two more
man.
seasons. 2 more seasons, man. It's a development process. You gotta stick with these young guys right now, man. Because what are you gonna do if you can't bring in some real veterans? Like if you can't hit the home run with a Durant or Kyrie, like, because that could have changed the whole game if they would have signed here instead of Brooklyn.
Okay, but Durant right now, torn Achilles, and Kyrie,
Yeah.
who they say is injury prone his damn self,
Yeah.
and he suffers from an identity crisis.
Yeah.
He still want to be in the shadow of LeBron James.
Yeah, there's still questions, but I think Durant's gonna come back. He's gonna come back healthy.
But do you think he's gonna be able to play physical, contend physically?
He never really was a physical player. He's a finesse player anyway. But his game, you gotta remember, his game is his shot, and he ain't gonna lose that. He didn't really have to jump that much. So for his Achilles, you know, he can get to the basket. He's still 6'11", so he's going to dunk when he can dunk. It's all about his shot, and his shot ain't going nowhere.
We'll see, man. I hope you're wrong, man. I hope you're wrong, man.
Hey,
'Cause
I'm still.
I hope you're wrong, man. But moving right along, man. When Chris Porzingis was on the New York Knicks, he demanded a trade because he didn't get the extension.
Yeah.
Along the way, we lost Trey Burke, Tim Hardaway Jr.,
Yeah.
and Lance Thompson.
Yeah.
Out of them 3 players, who you missed the most, man?
Out of those 3, it's definitely Porzingis. He was going to be the most impactful because you look at him, he was the guy that you could possibly get a guy to come play with. You never know if Duncan got unhappy in Dallas in 2 years, if they weren't going nowhere, he'd go, oh, I'm going to go sign with my man up in New York and go play with them. You see the difference?
Okay, but now that you see how Chris Porzingis, he's on the operating room table now. I mean, don't you feel like we dodged the bullet with Chris Porzingis, Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving? Don't get me wrong, I wanted all these players, man. I just mentioned. But look at them, man.
I can't say that until we draft the guy that's going to make a difference. Now, this new kid could be what we were looking for that could turn things around.
Obi.
Oh yeah, it's right there. But you got to, if you're going to keep drafting in the top 10, you got to pick that future Hall of Famer at some point and stop letting other teams get him. The Knicks missed on a few guys
Okay.
over the last 2 years. So you got to start picking the right guys. If you're going to be in the top 10, you might get another one next year.
All right.
Well, you got one with the trade, so I know they got good draft picks coming up
Yeah.
because of the trades they make. They just got to stick with them and stop overspending for players that are not going to make a difference.
Okay. Carmelo Anthony had a chance to come back to the Knicks. Didn't happen. Was you upset by that?
No. I think with Carmelo, it's a different situation. You know, Carmelo had his time here, and it wasn't going to make a real difference to have him come back. You know, the type of player he is now, like when you get older, you got to play with a team that when you want to win a ring, you got to go play with a contender that's ready now. He wasn't going to help the Knicks.
Okay.
You know.
All right, respect that. And as far as us talking about the New York Knicks needing a point guard and potentially bringing in vets. At one time, you heard James Harden, Russell Westbrook, Chris Paul. Chris Paul went to Phoenix. New York was divided about Chris Paul starting with him, saying that he's 35 years of age. You will have to pay this man $85 million, so forth. But do you think it would have been an uplift? We would have been moving in the right direction, and we could have used Chris Paul somewhat like a Jared Jack role type of player?
For the money, no. Because we would have to pay him so much, it's not worth it. Had we been closer to, you know, making a nice run in the playoffs, then he's worth bringing in because he's going to make a difference at that time. You got to look at that. You know, to bring him in and you're not going anywhere quite yet, you know, you can look at it as a development of the young players, but at that price, I don't think so.
No?
Not at the price, man. You gotta get out there and start spending that money more wisely, and also holding on to it so that when your guys get 3 years in and they're ready for their deal, because you know you don't want them walking away. You seen the Porzingis thing. If he doesn't like what's going on, he's going to force a trade. They got more leverage now.
Right.
They can force their way out the door. You can't keep them.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
I got you.
And people should want to stay here. You know what I'm saying? This is New York.
Yeah. How you feel about Doc Rivers' son, Austin Rivers, now being on the Knicks?
I mean, that's a pretty good move. I mean, he's kind of like a veteran. You know, you could consider him a veteran player now. You know, still young enough to make a difference.
Right.
I think he'll help them. You know, he can score. He can come off the bench and make a difference. You know, if he has to start, he can start. We'll see how he does in New York, man.
Yeah.
You know, his dad did well here, so if he got anything like his dad to play in New York, you know, if he got the heart, he's gonna do all right.
And my boy Mitchell Robinson.
Yeah, Mitchell Robinson is special. Young cat, still learning. I think he's gonna be good. I think, you know,
He got competition now because we got this kid, Mark Powell.
Yeah, but Mitch can play. He just got to stay out of foul trouble. You know, his usual thing is staying out of foul trouble. But when he's on the floor, he makes a difference, man.
Yeah.
I mean, they just gotta get a system, man. They gotta get the coach got to get a system and get some plays, and you know, you got to stop looking erratic out there.
Yeah. Oh, Coach Tibbs is gonna bring discipline.
Yeah.
To these kids. I know that for sure. Some say he's gonna run them to the ground. People who critique Coach Tibbs are saying I mean, it's always something.
Cool, but that's the good thing about having young guys. They can handle that. It's not gonna hurt them. The older guys, because they know what that does, they don't like it. But the young guys need that.
Yeah.
It's gonna make them better.
Yeah. And Kevin Knox, think this is gonna be his breakout year?
It needs to be. He's ready. And again, these guys came in at night. He was 19. He still got. You got to give these guys at least 2 or 3 years.
Okay.
You know, you got to give him 2 or 3 years, man. Because if you lose him and then he goes somewhere else, then you wonder like why we didn't keep him. But it could also be the system. We keep changing coaches. We got to stick with somebody and get these guys going.
Yeah. Speaking of coaches, I'm gonna elaborate on the front office. I mean, coaching staff. We got Tibbs, Mike Wilson, Kenny Payne.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Kenny Payne was the assistant coach, I believe, from Duke.
Okay. Not as familiar with him, but of course we know Mike Woodson has a nice history with the Knicks. He did well as a head coach with the Knicks, and will certainly do well on the bench. And he got, he's defensive minded. Tibbs loved that.
Yeah.
And so I think the coaching staff is solid. You know, they just got to get out there and play, man. It's gonna be it's a different world, man. They playing in a different kind of era now. You know, like they were in the bubble for the playoffs. This year, it's not the bubble, but it's gonna, it's gonna be different. No fans, I don't believe for the beginning.
Right.
So it's a different look for everybody, the whole league.
Okay.
So it could be an opportunity for the Knicks to make some noise.
And last but not least, see the Knicks going to the playoffs?
This year, it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough. They could get lucky and turn it around.
Because Stib said if the Knicks win, it's because they earned it. He ain't tanking. He ain't doing none of that.
Well, yeah. I mean, they in the running. They'll be in the running, and I think they've made it a little. They can play in for that last spot, so they got a shot. It's just not going to be easy. You got a lot of teams ahead of them, but if they play solid and win the games they're supposed to win, they got a shot.
All right, man. There it is, man. We just heard it from the OG himself out in Harlem, East Side, that is.
Yeah.
And he riding with these Knicks, and we gonna see what they do, man. I think the season starts December 22nd.
December 22nd.
Yeah, man.
Looking forward to it.
All right, and that's what it is. We out. Peace.